Hello everyone, welcome to all on our YouTube channel Agriculture and GK. Myself Shivangi, and today we are going to discuss about some important topic like GECFA, JMPR, RUCO and all. So in today's session we are going to discussing about all these things. So stay tuned till the last. Before going to start the session, I want to share some information regarding our course for the FSSI exam particularly. Uh, we launch our course for the FSSI CFHO technical officer exam, FSSI assistant officer exam, uh, all these things. If you purchase this course, then you find the full study material which is in the form of downloadable and printable, and you also provided with the test series and old papers. So if you want to purchase this course and you want to really boost up your preparation, so uh, just call or WhatsApp on this number and get some information about this course. Next information is about the Tamil Nadu Food Safety Officer exam complete course. You find this course in only 9999 rupees, and we provide in this a full study material including 3 ebooks, one question bank, and we provide also a test series which is based on the exam pattern. YouTube class note is also provided under this course. So if you want to boost your preparation and really want to crack your exam, so definitely purchase this course. Okay, so this is all about the some important course related to the food safety officer exams. Now move to the important point, which is today talk about the GECFA, GMPR, GEMRA. So what is this? GECFA, GMPR and GMRA. So basic introduction about all these things. Like if we talk about the GECFA, so GECFA is basically dealing with the additives. As we all know, GECFA, GMPR and GMRA, these three is all about the part of the Codex Alimentarius Commission, which is mainly for the risk assessment. So GECFA is deal with the food additives, GMPR is deal with the pesticide residue, and GMRA is dealing with the microbiological risk assessment. So full form of GMRA is the Joint Meeting on Microbiological Risk Assessment, and GMPR is the Joint Meeting on Pesticide Residue, and GCFA is for the Joint Expert Committee for Food Additives, which is comes under the UN Food Agriculture Organization and World Health Organization. As we all know that Codex Alimentarius is a joint initiative of FAO and WHO. So these all three comes under the Codex Alimentarius. So these all three is also the joint initiative of the Food and Agriculture Organization and World Health Organization. Okay, so as we all know that all these is only for the risk assessment. So what is the risk assessment and how we conduct the risk assessment? So here I provide the flow chart for the risk assessment, how we can do the risk assessment. So here is the risk assessment methodology. So basically we have a major two hazard, like one is a chemical hazard and second one is the biological hazard, for which we usually do the risk assessment. Okay, for the physical hazard we cannot do the uh, risk assessment, but for the chemical and biological hazard we do the risk assessment, because by the chemical reaction, by the biological reaction, there are many cause which may occur in a food, and if we are from the food it uh, go in our body, so there is any chances that they can influence on the human body also. So these two things, like one chemical and biological factor, is a very much important for the characterization purpose, risk assessment purpose. Okay, so first thing first, is a if it is a chemical hazard, if it is a biological hazard. So first thing first is that first we do the hazard analysis, like what kind of hazard is this. After that, when we done with the hazard analysis, we do the hazard characterization, and after that we do the risk characterization. Like when we do the hazard analysis, we find that is this a chemical hazard, physical hazard or biological hazard. When we find that suppose it is a chemical hazard, then we analyze that what type of chemical hazard is this, Uh, so this term comes under the hazard characterization, and how this chemical hazard impact on certain risk factors. So how what type of risk is generated due to this hazard is comes under the risk characterization from that hazard. So first we do the analysis, then we do the hazard characterization, then we do the risk characterization, and after that we do the application of toxicological gadget value. Okay. In the same way, from the biological hazard, we do the first hazard analysis. After that, we do the hazard and risk characterization, same as for the chemical, and in last we do the biotechnological risk assessment sensitive analysis. Okay, so this is the basic flow chart which is for the risk assessment methodology. Hope it's clear to you that how we conduct the risk assessment. Okay, so from the previous slide we take some definition about the some basic term like risk estimate. What is the risk estimate, what is the risk characterization, and what is the hazard characterization. So start with the risk estimate. What is the risk estimate? So basically when the quantitative estimation of risk resulting from risk characterization, so this thing is known as the risk estimate. Okay, when we quantitatively measure or estimate the risk factor which is resulting from the risk characterization, like from the risk characterization what quantity of risk is generated is known as the risk estimate. Okay, what is the risk characterization? So risk characterization is basically the quantitative and the qualitative estimation. Okay, in a risk estimate we only do the quantitative estimation, but in a risk characterization we do the quantitative as well as qualitative estimation, including attendant uncertainty of the probability of occurrence and severity of known or potential adverse health effect in a given population, which is based on a hazard identification and exposure assessment. Okay, after that we do the hazard characterization. Next term is hazard characterization. So what is the hazard characterization? Basically the hazard characterization is also the qualitative and quantitative evaluation of the nature of the adverse health effect, like what kind of adverse health effect we uh, 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 occur due to this hazard, which is obviously belong from biological, chemical or physical agent, and which may be present in the food. Okay, so now hope you should clear about that what is the risk estimate, what is the risk characterization, and what is the hazard characterization. Okay, so next move to the next thing, that is of provision of scientific advice. Okay, so all these things like GMPRA, GFCA, these all things is basically giving the advice to the Codex Alimentarius Commission about the different factor, like the for the additive, for the pesticide, for the microbiological things. So for this when the advice is given to Codex Alimentarius, there is a scientific panel who reevaluate the report which is given by the these parties. Okay, so what is the provision of scientific advice in this? So here we can have a look on this. Like we all know that FAO and WHO have a long history of providing scientific advice on food safety issue to the Codex Alimentarius Commission and its subsidiary bodies and to the member countries. Okay, the purpose is to help risk manager, policymaker, and other in decision making by providing sound scientific assessment. Okay, the advice assists in identification and choice of point for most effective measures. The need for scientific advice is constantly increasing also because food safety has emerged as a priority issue in many countries. So these are the factor which is responsible for the provision of the scientific advice, that why we need the scientific advice. Okay, so these are the reason why we need the scientific advice. Next thing about the food safety risk assessment, which is basically for the international scientific panel. So in a risk assessment, if you are basically talking about, so the uh, FAO and WHO promote the application of risk assessment in all matter involving food safety. Okay, so what is the main purpose of the FAO and WHO that they want to promote the risk assessment in all matter involving food safety. This must be sound scientific advice and evidence provided by panel of competent and independent expert, and the risk assessment is one of the component of risk analysis, and the two other being risk management and risk communication. So risk assessment is the main component of risk analysis, and these are the come under the one rooftop which is known as the risk analysis. So in a risk analysis we do the risk assessment, we do the risk management, and we do the risk communication. uh, I already shared information about the risk assessment, risk analysis, risk management, and risk communication in our lecture, which is based on the Codex Alimentarius Commission. If you are not watched that session, so you can definitely watch those, so that you can differentiate between what is the risk assessment, what is the risk management, what is the risk communication. Okay. So the Codex Alimentarius Commission defines as a risk assessment as a scientific based per, process, basically, which is consisting of the four step. Okay, so in a risk assessment, what we do the hazard identification, then we do the hazard characterization, then we do the exposure assessment, and then we do the risk characterization. So first thing, in a risk assessment, what we do the like what type of hazard is this, either it is a physical, biological, or chemical. When we identify the hazard, then we characterize the hazard, like what kind of adverse health effect is showing on the certain thing, if you found in a food, if you are found in a human body, all that thing. Okay, then what is the exposure assessment? What will the impact of this hazard when we expose in a certain condition? And then in the last we do the risk characterization. Okay, what kind of risk is this, major, minor, uh, all that thing. So these are the basic steps of the what risk assessment. Hope it's clear to you. In the risk assessment process is a mean of providing an estimate of the probability and severity of illness attributed to a particular pathogenic commodity combination. Okay, from the risk assessment process, basically we find some information and we estimate that the what is the condition of, and how much the probability and severity of the certain things which are going to happen due to certain pathogen, due to certain chemical. Okay, so basically risk assessment is the process by which we get some information and estimate the information about the probability and severity of the illness which is due to the some pathogen and some chemicals. Okay, the four-step process enable this to be carried out in a systematic manner, but the extent to which the steps are carried out will be dependent on the scope of the risk assessment. This can be defined clearly by the risk manager through ongoing dialogue with the risk assessor. Okay. Risk assessment provides information for identifying and characterizing food hazard. Risk assessment information is useful in determining which hazard are of such a nature that their prevention, elimination, or reduction to acceptable level is necessary, and the information is also useful in determining the most effective intervention strategy. So when we do the risk assessment, we find certain number of things which is a very important, uh, we find that the what is the character of the hazard, and what kind of risk is generated due to this hazard, how we prevent this, and what we have the certain limit for when we completely pose the restriction on this, and how much the elimination level, and how much acceptable level of this particular hazard, either it is a chemical, either it is a biological. So these are thing is basically done by the risk assessment. Okay, at present there are two long standing panel that provide advice to the codex, government and industry, and they are the joint FAO WHO Export Committee and a Food Additive and Contaminants, which is also known as the GECFA, and the Joint FAO-WHO meeting on the pesticide residue, which is also known as the JMPR. So currently, there are two long-standing panel which give the information and advice to the codex, government and industry regarding all these things, and these are the GECFA and GMPRA, which we are going to discuss in our further uh, session today. Okay, so FAO and WHO convenes an HOAC expert consultation whenever needed to address a specific issue not covered by the permanent panel. Okay. In recent years, several expert consultations have been held on microbiological hazard in a food, the risk assessment of food derived from the biotechnology, and on animal feeding and food safety. FAO and WHO are currently studying the possibility of establishing an overall expert body on a food safety risk assessment that would oversee the entire work in this field and ensure the necessary link, synergy and harmony between the specific expert panel and the consultation. Okay, now come to the point which is about the principle and guideline for the risk assessment. What is the principle and what is the guideline for the risk assessment? So basically, principle and method for the risk assessment of chemical in a food, environment health criteria 240, principle for modeling does response for the risk assessment of chemical, which come under the environmental health criteria 239, guideline for risk assessment of microbiological hazard in a food and water. So these are the principle and guideline for the risk assessment, which is majorly deal with the chemical and biological hazard. So now come to the main point, which is about the GECFA. So what is the role of GECFA basically? So GECFA is established in the 1956. Risk assessment safety evaluation. It done the risk assessment and safety evaluation of the food additives including flavoring agent. It also do the risk assessment safety evaluation on the contaminants including natural toxins. Also it dealing with the residue of veterinary drug in animal products. Okay, specification and analytical method residue definition like MRL proposal for the veterinary drug development and improvement of the general principle of the risk management. So these are the role of the GECFA. Okay, what are the activities of the GECFA? So basically, GECFA done with the food additives, processing aids, flavoring, contaminants, and natural toxin in a food. Elaborate principle for their assessment. Conduct toxicological evaluation and establish acceptable daily intake, which is also known as the ADI, or tolerable intake. Okay. So GECFA have also generated the report on the when they conduct toxicological evaluation. After that, they generate the report and establish the ADI, like acceptable daily intake of that particular things, and assess exposure from the diet to the substance, how something is exposed from diet to the substance, and they prepare a specification for identify and a purity for food additive processing aids, nutrients to ensure that the product is commerce is of appropriate quality. It can be manufactured consistently and is equivalent to the material that was subjected to toxicological testing. So these are the activity of GECFA. Okay. Other than this, GECFA is also dealing with the residue of veterinary drug in food. Okay, it elaborate principle for evaluating their safety, establish ADI and recommended maximum residual limit, which is also known as MRLs, when products are administered to the food producing animal in accordance with the good veterinary practices. Okay, it determined criteria for the appropriate method for analyzing, for detecting or quantifying residue in a food. So it also deal with the additive, it also deal with the veterinary drug, and how much the veterinary drug limit is found if the animal which intake the veterinary drug, if the from that animal we consume that, so what the maximum limit for that veterinary drug in that particular animal which is consumable as a food. Okay, now come to the JMPR. So basically, first JMPR convened on 1963 to perform toxicological assessment of pesticide residue in a food. So JMPR is for basically the pesticide residue. Okay, since 1966, residue evaluation also performed to recommended MRL for compound when used in accordance with the good agriculture practices. Okay, so what is the activities? So basically generation of scientific information through risk assessment on a specific pathogen commodity, combination development of risk assessment tool, elaboration of guideline documents, data collection and generation, recommendation on the use of risk assessment within a risk management framework. These are the GMRA activities. So here is the some main codex document uh, which have on the analysis. Okay, so role of science and other factor in codex process, which is from the 1995, comes under the. So these are the main codex document which on the risk analysis. Other thing is role of food safety risk assessment, which under the 1997. Risk analysis term related to food safety 1997. Criteria for the consideration of other factor 2001. Working principle for risk analysis for application in the framework of the Codex Alimentarius 2003 and specific risk analysis principle policies, food additives, contaminants, residue of veterinary drug, pesticide residue, nutrition and hygiene. So these are the Codex document for the risk analysis. Okay. Next thing is the current request from Codex for the safety evaluation of the food safety, contaminants, pesticide residue, veterinary drug residue. So these are the current to the safety evaluation. So current request from Codex to the safety evaluation of the food additive, contaminants, pesticide residue, veterinary drug residue, cygotoxin, Shigella toxin, E. coli, use of clean water, nitrogen factor for fishery product, acceptable CAROS, bivalve molluscans sanitation program, histamine and scombrid fish poisoning in salmonid, nitrogen to protein conversion factor of soy and milk protein, and the antimicrobial resistance and carry over the residue of veterinary drug in a feed. Okay. Next thing about the advantage and challenge, benefits and challenges about these things. So basically focus on issue of international concern, globally acceptable information and tool are used. So these are the advantages and benefits, and it facilitates wide distribution of the technology and use of result by countries. It identify area where knowledge and data are lacking. It involve internationally recognized expert in the field. It is a cost-effective, facilitate optimal use of the limited resources. What are the challenges of this? So basically, major challenges is to identify priorities at the international level. Uh, what would be the priority and the definition of the possible scope of the work and use to be given to the result, harmonization of the risk assessment methodology which is based on the codex principle for the risk analysis, and availability and quality of data and the resources. Okay, so this is all about the GMRA GECFA. Now come to the next topic, which is about the RUCO. So basically, as the name indicated, that something RUCO is related to the stop, like stop doing that. It's sound something like that. Okay. So what is the RUCO? So basically, RUCO is the full form of RUCO is the repurposed used cooking oil. Okay, so what we done with the repurpose used cooking oil, so we pose the restriction on again using the repurpose used cooking oil, and we pose the restriction on the use cooking oil, and then we from that cooking oil we generate some biodiesel. Okay, so the main purpose of this initiative to generate the biodiesel from the used cooking oil, and the full form of this initiative is the repurpose used cooking oil, and it is the initiative by the FSSAI which enable the collection and process of the cooking into the biodiesel in association with the Biodiesel Association of India. So RUCO is the joint initiative of the FSSAI and Biodiesel Association of the India. Okay, So basically, what is the biodiesel? So basically, biodiesel refers to a vegetable oil or animal fat, which fat-based diesel fuel consisting of long gel alkali, including methyl, ethyl, or propyl esters. So basically, biodiesel is typically made by chemically reacting lipid, which may be the vegetable oil, which may be the soybean oil, it may be the animal fat, which is also known as tallow, with an alcohol producing fatty acid and esters. So basically, World Biofuel Day is celebrated on the 10th August 2018, and on this day, the RUCO initiative is also launched. Okay, when in India, World Fuel Day 2018 event is celebrated, and it is organized on the Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi at that time. And at that day, PM Modi unveiled the booklet on the national policy on the biofuels 2018 and launched the proactive and responsive facilitation by interactive and vitreous environment single window hub, and it is also set the target of 20% blending of the ethanol in the petrol by 2030. So here is the some basically general knowledge about the topic. Okay, so how these the biodiesel are made? So basically biodiesel production, like we have the extracted oil, then we add the methanol in this. After that, we do the transesterification. When we done with the transesterification, we found the two kind of things. One is the impure biodiesel and second one is the impure glycerin. So when we filter and when we separate this thing, when we purification done the in a impure biodiesel, in impure glycerin, we found the biodiesel separately, which is the fatty acid of methyl esters, and then we find the glycerin. Okay, so these is all about the RUCO and how the basically biodiesel is formed. So the person who collect the used cooking oil from the FBOs, from the restaurants, uh, called as the aggregator. Okay, so this is the role of aggregator, that they collect the uh, used cooking oil from the FBOs and then they hand over to it to the industry. Okay, so minimum price for the when someone want to purchase the used cooking oil from the some restaurant FBOs, so the minimum rate for the purchasing is 25 rupees per liter. Okay, when we use basically maximum time the cooking oil. So the in cooking oil there is a something which is known as the total polar compound. So the number of total polar compound increasing when we use the oil again and again. So the permitted limit for the total polar compound in used cooking oil is 25%, which is very important point from your exam point of view. And the permitted limit of the total polar compound in fresh cooking oil is 15%. So for 15% TPC is for fresh oil TPC is 15%, and for used cooking oil TPC is 25%. Okay, basically how this initiative come in the mind of the government and the FSSAI. So basically, according to the recent data of the FSSAI, 2 to 5 lakh ton of vegetable oil that the country consume, 40% is consumed by the restaurant, mega kitchen, and the processed food industry. Okay, and in this, the 30% of get discarded as used cooking oil is sold at the cheaper rate, which is often bought by the street vendor and small restaurant. Okay, so these are the huge number basically. Uh, if we convert these in the biodiesel, so it provide the maximum benefit, it provide the sustainable environment, and we it provide the also the safe food, because the oil is not again and again cooked. Okay, so this is all about the RUCO, GMPRA, GECFA. So hope you like the session. If you like the session, make sure you like the video, subscribe our channel and share with your friends. Thank you for patiently listening us.